My friends, let me ask you something right now. Are you sitting down? Because if you're on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, what I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes could be the most important thing you hear all week. I know you've been hearing a lot of noise lately. Politicians talking, headlines flying around, numbers being thrown at you from every direction. And honestly, it's exhausting. I see you. I hear you. You worked hard your entire life, you paid into the system for decades, and all you want to know is one simple thing. Is my check going to be okay? Is someone in Washington actually fighting for me? Well, today, we are going to answer that question together. We're going to cut through all the confusion and sit here, just like two neighbors at a kitchen table with a cup of coffee, and I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about the latest payment updates, what's being discussed about a major new bill, what it could mean for your monthly check, what the real numbers look like, and what smart steps you can take right now to protect your income and make sure you're not leaving a single dollar on the table. Because here's the truth. There are millions of Americans over 60 who are getting less than they deserve. Not because they didn't earn it, not because they don't qualify, but simply because no one sat down and explained it to them properly. And that ends today. So stay with me because we've got a lot of ground to cover. And every single minute of this video could be worth real money in your pocket. Now let's get into it. You've probably seen headlines swirling around something being called the Trump comeback bill or variations of that phrase. And I want to be completely straight with you because that's what you deserve. This bill is a package of legislative proposals being actively discussed and pushed in Washington. And while elements of it have been advancing through committees, the full passage and exact implementation are still developing as of the time I'm recording this. So I want you to hear what's real, what's proposed, and what it could mean for you so you can make informed decisions. Here's what's at the center of all this excitement. The proposal being discussed includes significant adjustments to how Social Security, SSI, and SSDI recipients are paid. And for many of you watching, the number that keeps coming up is around $3,200 per month as a potential payment threshold or combined benefit target for certain recipients. Now, I want to unpack that number carefully because context matters enormously here. For SSI recipients, the current federal base payment in 2025 is $967 per month for individuals. For couples, it's $1,450. For SSDI, the average payment sits around $1,580 per month, though many recipients receive more depending on their work history. And for retired Social Security beneficiaries, the average is just over $1,900. So when you hear $3,200, that figure reflects proposals to increase maximum benefit thresholds, include combined household benefits, or represents the upper range that high-earning SSDI recipients or retired workers with full benefit histories could receive under enhanced formulas. Before we go any further into the new proposals, let's talk about something that already happened, because some of you may not have noticed the change in your January check and deserve to understand it. The Social Security Administration announced a 2.5% cost of living adjustment, or COLA, for 2025. Now, I know 2.5% sounds small compared to the 8.7% we saw back in 2023, but let me show you why it still matters. If you were getting $1,800 a month before, that 2.5% COLA means you're now receiving $1,145. That's an extra $45 every single month, which adds up to $540 over the course of a full year. For SSI recipients who were getting $943 last year, you should now be receiving $967. For a married SSI couple, you went from $1,415 to $1,450. These aren't massive jumps, but they are real dollars that belong to you. And if your check didn't reflect this increase starting in January, you need to contact the Social Security Administration directly because something may be wrong with your account. Now, here's where the new legislative conversation gets interesting. Many advocates and lawmakers, particularly those aligned with the proposals being floated under this broader bill, are arguing that 2.5% is not enough. That with grocery prices, utility bills, and prescription drug costs still running high, seniors are still falling behind even after the COLA. And that argument is gaining traction in a very real way on Capitol Hill. Let me walk you through some of the specific proposals that are part of this broader legislative push, because I think when you hear the actual numbers, it's going to make a lot more sense. One of the key provisions being discussed is the elimination of the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, known as the GPO. These are two rules that have been quietly reducing Social Security benefits for millions of retired teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other public employees for decades. If your spouse was a public worker, or if you worked in a government job that had its own pension, there's a real chance your Social Security has been reduced because of these rules. The Social Security Fairness Act, which was actually signed into law in January of 2025, already took a major step here, eliminating both WEP and GPO for roughly 3.2 million Americans. If you fall into that category and haven't yet seen your check go up, you need to check your My Social Security account online or call the SSA, because you may be owed retroactive payments dating back to the effective date of that law. That alone, the WEP and GPO elimination, has already pushed some recipients' checks up by $360 to $1,000 per month. For a retired teacher in Texas or a firefighter's widow in Ohio, that is life-changing money. Now let's talk specifically about those of you on SSI and SSDI, because you are often the most vulnerable and frankly the most underserved when it comes to getting clear information. For SSI recipients, the conversation in Washington includes proposals to raise the federal benefit rate more aggressively, closer to 100% of the federal poverty line rather than the current rate, which sits below that threshold. Right now, a single person on SSI gets $967 a month, but the federal poverty guideline for a single person is roughly $1,255 per month. That gap is what advocates are fighting to close. Some proposals would bring SSI payments up to $1,200 or even $1,400 for individuals. And when you layer in state supplemental payments, which states like California, New York, and Massachusetts offer on top of the federal rate, some recipients could see combined monthly income approaching that $3,000 range. For SSDI recipients, the changes being discussed include adjusting the substantial gainful activity limit. That's the income cap that determines how much you can earn while still receiving disability benefits, and making it easier for disabled workers to return to part-time employment without immediately losing their benefits. This is huge. Right now, many SSDI recipients are afraid to even try to work because they fear one paycheck will disqualify them from their monthly benefits. The new proposals would expand the trial work period and give recipients more flexibility. Now, here's something I want to spend a real moment on, because it's the kind of thing that gets buried in the fine print and costs people money they didn't even know they were entitled to. Did you know that if your combined income, that's your Social Security plus any other income you receive, is below $25,000 as a single filer or $32,000 as a married couple filing jointly, you pay zero federal income tax on your Social Security benefits? Zero. Not one penny. And yet, I speak with seniors regularly who are paying a tax preparer to file their taxes and being told they owe money on their benefits when they actually don't. Please, please check your income level. If you're right around that threshold, a simple IRA contribution or a small adjustment to how you receive income could drop you below the line entirely. And here's another thing to watch for as these new legislative changes unfold: benefit offsets and clawbacks. If you receive any kind of government assistance alongside your Social Security, including housing assistance, Medicaid, or SNAP, a significant increase in your monthly check could trigger what's called a benefit reduction in those other programs. For example, if your SSI goes up by $100 a month, your SNAP benefits might go down by a corresponding amount. That's not a reason not to advocate for higher Social Security payments, but it is a reason to sit down with a benefits counselor before making any major financial decisions based on projected increases. For our veterans watching today, and I know many of you are out there, I want to make sure we take a moment to address your situation specifically, because VA benefits and Social Security often overlap in ways that confuse even the most organized recipients. As of 2025, the VA has also implemented its own cost of living increase, in line with the same 2.5% COLA adjustment applied to Social Security. That means if you're a veteran receiving VA disability compensation, your monthly payment went up as well. A veteran rated at 100% disability, the highest VA rating, is now receiving over $3,800 per month in tax-free VA compensation. And here's the part many veterans don't realize. VA disability compensation does not count as income for Social Security purposes, which means receiving VA payments does not reduce your Social Security retirement or SSDI benefits. You can receive both fully and simultaneously if you qualify for both. However, if you are receiving VA pension, which is different from VA disability compensation, that income can affect your SSI eligibility. VA pension is need-based, and SSI is also need-based, so those two programs interact in ways that can be complicated. If you're receiving VA pension and SSI simultaneously, it's worth a free call to your local veteran service organization to make sure your benefits are coordinated correctly. All right, friends, let's get practical. Because information without action is just noise. Here are the real steps I want you to think about taking in the coming weeks. First, if you haven't already done so, create your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. This is free, takes about 15 minutes, and lets you see your complete earnings record, your projected benefit amounts, and your payment history. Many seniors discover errors in their earnings record, years of work that were never properly credited, and fixing those errors can result in a higher monthly benefit. Second, if you believe you may be affected by the WEP or GPO eliminations under the Social Security Fairness Act, call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and specifically ask them to review your account for retroactive adjustments. Be patient. The SSA is processing millions of these cases, but be persistent because the money that's owed to you is not going to come automatically to everyone without some follow-up. Third, if you're on SSDI and you've been afraid to even consider part-time work, talk to a benefits planner about the Ticket to Work program. This is a free SSA program that allows disability recipients to try working without immediately losing their benefits, with full protections in place if the work doesn't pan out. You have more flexibility than you may realize. And fourth, this one is important, do not make financial decisions based on proposed legislation that hasn't fully passed and been implemented. I know the excitement around these payment increases is real, but please don't cancel any existing benefits, don't make any major purchases on credit, and don't assume a higher check is coming until you have official confirmation from the SSA or VA directly. The proposals are promising, the momentum is real, but timing is everything. My friends, here's the bottom line. Whether it's the Social Security Fairness Act changes already taking effect, the COLA adjustment in your January check, the VA benefit increases, or the new proposals making their way through Washington, there is genuine momentum right now toward putting more money in the hands of the people who earned it. People like you. You spent a lifetime building this country, raising families, paying into a system on the promise that it would be there when you needed it. And I truly believe, that promise is worth fighting for. So stay informed, stay engaged, and do not let the noise and confusion keep you from getting every single dollar you are owed. If this video helped you today, please share it with someone you love who's on Social Security or SSI or SSDI, because the best thing we can do for each other is make sure nobody gets left behind. And drop a comment below telling me what state you're in and what your biggest question is about your benefits, because your question might become the next video. I'll be right here watching out for you. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.